second. Okay. My name is Jayne Valnes, and my speech is about remember the Tsar Nicholas II for the good also. Many people know about the massacre of Tsar Nicholas II, the last Russian ruler, and his family. And some would say that maybe it was deserved. But a significant portion of the reasons for the Russian Revolution were due to a culmination of grievances caused by 3 centuries of Russian autocratic rule, along with a few key events. Simply taken as a man, he could be considered a good man. My 3 points are that Tsar Nicholas and his family's murder were a tragedy. The Russian Revolution was not entirely Nicholas's fault, and Nicholas was a good if misdirected man. I'd like to begin by saying that the murder of the Tsar and his family was, to me, a smaller scale of genocide. The Bolsheviks were retaining the Romanov family to ensure the progression of the Russian Revolution. They awakened the Romanov family in the middle of the night under the pretext that a picture needed to be taken to show that they had not escaped. The Tsar, his family, his 4 daughters, his son, their spaniel, and their loyal servants dressed fully in their finest wear and went down to the basement to be murdered, their bodies riddled with bullets, and then taken out to pits in the woods so that they could be thrown in the pits and then covered in sulfuric acid to avoid identification. The final chapter by Robert K. Massey described the motives behind the murder. Due to the fact that help was coming from the White Army, the Bolsheviks determined that they had to wipe out the last of the Romanov family, ruling family, to ensure that not one of them could come back and take over the crown. They wanted to move to a Marxist government, which to them meant more freedom, more opportunities, more wealth, and less starvation. Unfortunately, other countries had offered asylum, but nobody ended up providing it. This was their family. The Bolsheviks felt justified in responding to events In review, it was a terrible tragedy. The fate of the Romanovs. In the fate of the Romanovs, Nicholas wasn't raised to be a man to take over such a large country. He was a quiet and shy, sensitive kid whose characteristics his father hated and tried to, basically with heavy-handedness, take out of him. He was knowledgeable and thoughtful, and partially due to the fact of the violence that plagued their family. Because of both his heavy-handed father, his smothering mother, and an influential political tutor, Nicholas grew to be suspicious of freedom in government and have an inability to make strong decisions. In History.com, the last straw was World War I. Russia was ill-prepared. Many men died. The war caused great starvation on top of an already starving country, which further angered the population toward their leader. Nicholas determined that he was going to take over the military and did his best to try to turn around the war. But unfortunately, due to bad leadership skills, along with exhausted men in war, he could not stop the spiral down toward revolution. There was a collection of reasons that caused the revolution, but there's also the fact that Nicholas was a good man. My third point, Nicholas was a good if misdirected man. Nicholas in Alexandra, the book, described him as an innocent, a dreamer at heart, who is passionate and willing to lay down his life for his country. He was unprepared for the empire that was forced upon him, but which had to happen due to his father's early demise. In an article in Time, Life and Times of Grigory Rasputin, Nicholas provided the additional incentive for revolt by trusting a holy man who helped his hemophiliac son. Hemophilia is a disease that is both painful and causes unstoppable bleeding. And for whatever reason, Rasputin was able to ease his son's pain, which caused both him and his wife to form a dangerous trust in a man who would eventually spark the last of the revolution. Let's try to remember that the revolution was not the fault of just one man. He also had a number of good qualities. What do we want to be remembered for? For wealth, for success, for intelligence, or for the love of others? Understandably, for the last Russian Tsar, he'll be remembered for his murder and for the beginning of the revolution. To have died violently amongst his wife, his 4 daughters, his son, his dog, and his staff, and then to be desecrated, have their bodies desecrated, is unspeakable. Let's try to remember that while mistakes were made, he loved his wife and his children and his country and just wanted to care for them all.